everyone, my name is Charnae and thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Take Care. If this isn't your first time tuning in, then welcome back. I am so appreciative that you continue to show this series support, and I really hope that you're getting something of value from this series. If this is your first time tuning in, then welcome. So glad that you're here. I created this series in honor of August being National Wellness Month because I really just wanted to share different ways that we can better practice caring for ourselves from a holistic level. And in this episode, I'm really excited to dive in ways we can care for our social well-being. So practicing social self-care or social wellness. So with that being said, let's get into it. Social self-care is basically participating in different activities that nurtures our relationships with others. Nurturing those healthy relationships that are good for you. So I'm about to give you 5 different ways that you can better care for your social wellness, as well as care for yourself while you're being in connection with others. Number 1, know yourself. You may be wondering, what does knowing myself have to do with being in connection to others? Everything. Basically, there isn't a magical set number of hours or amount of time that you need to spend with the people in your life to better those relationships. It's all about your preferences. It's all about your social needs. This helps you get a better understanding of realistically how much time you have to spend and the ways you may want to spend time with other people. What can help is by considering the following questions. What are my social needs? And would I consider myself more of an introvert or an extrovert, or somewhere in between? What do I currently have on my plate? And what is my schedule looking like in this season? How much more time can I commit to spending with others over the next 30 days or next month? And who are those people that I want to spend more time with? The point is not to spread yourself too thin, where you're stressed out or overwhelmed because you overextended yourself trying to show up for everybody but yourself. Be realistic with the time that you have, as well as your energy levels. Number 2, nurture relationships. The reality is that life happens. As we get older and as we advance more in our careers or grow families, we don't have as much time as we used to, and things start to fill our calendars before we know it, and it can get a little bit more difficult to actually sit down and have a face-to-face conversation or gathering with friends. So I think it's important to keep in mind, if we really want to nurture these relationships so they can extend over time, we have to really be intentional about reaching out and making time for that other person. For example, you can reconnect with friends by scheduling a coffee or brunch date. If you're not able to meet in person or don't feel comfortable in this current environment, you can always pick up the phone, do a FaceTime call, or do Zoom. Number 3, identifying toxic relationships. We need to be mindful of burying those relationships that are toxic and no longer serves us. If the relationship drains you, leaves you feeling insignificant or unworthy, or isn't reciprocating the same love, respect, and support that you pour into it, you may want to consider cutting them off, where you remove complete contact from them. If you're not able to cut them off completely, then consider putting some distance between you and them. Set firm boundaries. What I realized is that while it's challenging to even set boundaries, it can be even more challenging to maintain them, but it's essential. So when you're setting a firm boundary, whether it's not socializing with that person on social media or not taking any of their phone calls or text messages, make sure you stick to that boundary. Make sure that you let them know that this is not negotiable. It's important whether we're cutting off people or giving ourselves that distance, because we have to care for our own well-being. That means our own mental, emotional, physical health, because misery loves company and we don't have any time or energy to waste on being around toxic people that can create a toxic environment. Number 4, honor yourself by saying no. If you're anything like me, then you've struggled with saying no for years. It's so easy to avoid wanting to say no because we don't want to upset any other person, or we don't want to make people think it's a personal attack against them, and we just want to avoid conflict. But it's so important that we use our no to protect the power of our yes. If the thought of saying no makes you feel nervous and uncomfortable, then a few other ways to say no is, I appreciate the invite, but I'm unable to come. Thanks for thinking of me, but maybe another time. Sounds great, but I can't commit. But the important thing to remember, no is a complete sentence. You provide more details if you choose to, but no is enough. And if you're on the receiving end of a no, then don't take it personal. Some people may be saying no because they can't show up 100% for you in the way that they want to show up. Maybe right now they can only show up at 55%, and they know that that's not where they want to be, and they know that that's not what you need in that moment. So don't take no as a personal attack. It's really being able to set that boundary so people can better show up for themselves, or because they already have something prioritized and they're just not able to commit and fully be present. Number 5, making time for yourself. So I think it's important that we know that before we can do any of this, before we can show up to nurture these relationships and really be able to give others our best, we have to give ourselves our best first. And then we're talking about social wellness. Me time, or just time for yourself, is still so critical to be able to show up for others, because we need time to restore, to recharge, and to rest. And I know there's a narrative about me time is like just being able to care for yourself is selfish because there's other people that we have to care for. But I disagree. I feel like it's about self-preservation. It's about giving yourself the space to put on your own oxygen mask first and being able to show up fully for yourself before you can show up fully for others. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode. I really hope you took something of value or heard something that really resonated with your spirit. I definitely invite you to drop anything in the chat, whether it's something you're going to try or something that really stood out. And next week, we're going to be talking about spiritual self-care. Until then, as always, take care.